na torre também, tá ligado?
Não, você quer ficar... tipo, você podia ficar...
pro bot, eu acho.
Não, acho que é os 4 bots que só tem um lugar pra eles engajar.
Sim.
A Oriana fez uma Banshee, viado.
Ô, Guigo, você quer vir pro mid então e eu vou pro bot?
Sim, eu vou pro bot.
É você que poca, tá, Greve?
Sim, eu tô ligado.
Ó, cuidado aqui, Guigo.
Alguém consegue tirar a Banshee dela?
Guigo.
Tamo longe, mas esse cara não tem flash.
Oriana.
Olha a Oriana. Se perdeu o Banshee. Cara, eu vou no bagulho.
Muito low. A torre.
Matou.
Caralho. Posso ultar ela?
Pega a Oriana, pega a Oriana.
Vai lá, você não tem o W, não tem o W. Mata ela, Greve, mata ela. Não morre.
Não morre que é GG.
Ajuda meu
Ajuda o Guigo.
Olha o Viego, vai resetar nele.
Morreu não, ajuda. Bate o Viego.
Eu tento dar pra vocês.
Muito low.
Mata esse cara.
Ai, errei.
Tem W, Chá?
Tenho. Tá de boa, guys. Vamos.
Tenho. Tu quer W, tu quer tiro. Então só um tiro aí, João.
Vamos pro game, não?
Vamos pro game. Dá pra dar game.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Desk. Let's talk about rivalries. We've had EU versus NA, but it's time to talk about real rivalries. Brazil versus Turkey, the TCL versus CBLOL. I am a huge fan of Turkish Valorant, and it's no secret that I've been converted into a fan of the TCL as well. You might think you don't know much about the TCL. I respectfully ask you to think again. Some of your favorite players probably played or even started their careers in the Turkish Championship League. Closer, Broken Blade, Armut, Caps, they all have had a taste of the TCL. When it comes to the teams, every wildcard region has its humble beginnings. For the TCL, 2014 was the year the world was introduced to them. Dark Passage, they managed to make it to Worlds, and although the passage for Turkey was indeed pretty dark to begin with, there were beacons of light that led the way. Those were the legends. Naru, HolyPhoenix, Dumbledore, and who can forget Zeitnot Bubba? They showed up even when the odds were stacked against them. And if you don't remember them, I'm pretty sure that your hero FLICKR does.
Looks like Thackerlee's and Thaldrin just on the other side, and it's going to be as well. Dumbledore from the top lane. The hits go in. No, 10 points to Dumbledore. First blood.
And thus came the glory years of 2017 and 2018, where Supermassive brought home some supermassive results, knocking the Brazilian teams out of MSI for 2 years in a row. Even though Supermassive didn't get their desired results at Worlds 2020, they did manage to knock out Mad Lions and also styled on Brazil.
Matter, they can still go for him.
Trying to read the Duke. Here's the TP though. Armut with the taunt though. He's trying to live. He's in a literal 1v5 and he gets a kill. He's gonna get another kill.
Today, TCL and CBLOL will be facing each other once again. And we haven't really forgotten about what happened last time, but I have full faith that the Istanbul Wildcats will be getting their revenge.
Sure, okay, fine. The CBLOL may not have the successes on the international stage that the Turkish region does, the TCL. We may not have the wins against many of the other regions that the Turkish do, but what we do have is the ability to consistently beat the TCL. Yes, that's right, I said it. We also have the hearts and the minds of the entire planet. There isn't a League esports fan anywhere in the world that hasn't heard about BRTT and his Draven. He's appeared at 2 Worlds, 2 MSIs, 23 international games. He's dumpstered people in lane. This is a world-renowned player and laner, known for his trash talk, feared for his Draven. Revolta, a Brazilian jungler who appeared at 1 World Championship. He won 1 international game. But it was against EDG, one of the most memorable and impactful and meaningful moments in competitive history. Finally for me, Goku, the mid laner phenom from Flamengo who attended Worlds 2019. He captured the hearts and the minds of the Brazilian scene, as well as fans from around the world, including myself, as one of the next possible players to make a dent on the international stage. Sure, the successes and scorelines aren't there for CBLOL, but I give you this moment. This is for Kaboom! Why did Cloud9 yell that line at Worlds 2014? That's because just days before, Kaboom had surprised the planet, defeating Europe's #1 seed Alliance, knocking them out of playoff contention, putting Brazil on the map, and more importantly, Yinsu, putting hope in the hearts and minds and viewers that emerging regions can compete. It was Brazil that first made the world's best teams respect and fear the up-and-coming regions, fear the up-and-coming teams. And fine, before you get all snarky with me, yes, the last time the Red Canids played on the international stage, they were eliminated by your Supermassive. Fine, okay? But the scoreline is 8-6 in favor of Turkey, meaning when we win our 2 games this MSI, we're at 50-50. Turkey and Brazil are no different. We're equal.
Trevor, if I could get out of gold, I could also be a pro player. But I mean, like, those are big ifs we're talking about here. The stats don't lie. 8-6, we're ahead.
Yes, but remember that yesterday it was the Red Canids that took down PSG Talent, the favorite second teams.
You did not have to play RNG.
Excuses, excuses.
RNG.
Shocking. That's all I'm hearing is excuses. But you know what the best part is? Today, Turkey and Brazil will be facing off against one another. And Chitan has over 200 professional games. He's won multiple CBLOL titles. He is one Rumble stage away from being an internationally recognized bot laner on the likes of BRTT and HolyPhoenix, and your boys don't stand a chance.
I think he might need 200 more as well. He can keep coming back. 200,
that's your, we'll see.
We'll allow it.
We will see. That's enough talking about some of the history of one of the greatest rivalries in League of Legends. Thank you, Yinsu, for that one. Let's get to game and find out how quickly Brazil can take down Turkey.
Serin waiting over the wall, trying to fish out, who kicked back into the rest of the team. The chain's still attached, he's been locked down. That's a big shutdown. Signs of life coming in from the Wildcats. Today, Red are the guys wampa stomping their way across this rift. And finally, the victory will come through. Chitan, full confidence.
Wow, what an introduction. First of all, would you say anything else? Team Yinsu or Team Trevor?
Oh.
I'm putting you on the spot. I didn't even let you think about this one.
I'm going to say Red Canids after yesterday's performance. I was on board with them. I thought they looked sick.
I'm going to go with the historical record of Team Yinsu. I'm going to go for the TCL right now. So we're already dividing people.
I mean, already. Look, regardless of, I'm hyped after that.
Absolutely.
I wasn't expecting the grudge match, like back and forth between the two. Like, I was already excited for Brazil versus Turkey, but I mean, my blood's just boiling now, ready for this.
Absolutely. And again, this is an incredibly important matchup within the group itself, because both these teams got to feel like they have a shot of making it out into the Rumble stage.
Yeah, definitely. And I think especially when you're looking at TCL, I feel like we haven't really got to see them yet. As we said, against RNG yesterday, it felt like there was just too much control from RNG in those early stages. So you can guarantee they're going to want to come out swinging here against the CBLOL. But I mean, I looked across them yesterday, and Brazil were looking pretty damn good against PSG Talent, so we got to see how this one's going to pan out.
I mean, absolutely, and this is going to be a pretty marquee matchup for both of these squads, and this is kind of why you want to be here, why you need to be at MSI, because yes, we talk about it from a point of view of, it's only the #1 seeds, but don't forget, for a lot of these regions, you need to win to get to the international tournament, so this is a fantastic just temperature check to see where you're at.
And something that Yinsu brought up, not in her speech there, but actually backstage, was, this tournament kind of feels like a redemption story for TCL as well, because they were so close to making it out of groups at Worlds and then just losing out in that best of 5 against Beyond Gaming. And it feels like once again they're kind of coming in and trying to push into that upper echelon, trying to push themselves from the group stage into the Rumble stage. And for Red Canids, they're the ones that are trying to stand in the way to block them from getting there.
Yeah, and again, the fans for both of these sides are just so impassioned, so there's going to be a lot of noise regardless of who wins, but it is going to come down to kind of, in my opinion, who can keep their cool, who can play their game plan, because at the end of the day, if you can cause some kind of disruption, that could throw the other team off.
But that's the thing, I don't know what Red Canids' game plan is anymore. When I came into yesterday, I was like, you know what, this team is like super slow, like they played the majority of their split from major deficits and still came out as the #1 team. Like their average from the regular split, their goal difference of 14 was -370. Then I looked at their their gold difference yesterday. And I was like, oh, that's a 2,500 gold lead they have. They've completely swapped up their style. They look more like they did in Worlds 2021 with this crazy high kills and assist number from that early stage.
And the funny thing is that that's why we were so high on them in Worlds 2021, because they had that pace, that early aggression that was honestly in the CBLOL and even in the Worlds play-ins was quite clean. So there's definitely a moment here. We're kind of saying, look, Red Canids, not just a one-style team. They can play to either one.
Yeah, and shout out to Kelsey Moser as well, who had gone back and talked to their coach as well. And he was saying that, look, this was a deliberate game plan coming in from Red Canids for their regular split. They wanted to go more towards these 5v5s. And that's why when you look at the drafts, it was like, you know, the super tanks in the top lane, like the Ornn. You're looking more like the Victors, the Jinxes, the Aphelioses. And why they had such a good comeback rate when they were behind at 14 was because they were playing for these late game fights. And it worked out for them. But now we're kind of seeing the Jinxes, Aphelioses pushed out of the meta. Same when you look towards the Victors. So this is where I'm kind of going to see, hey, Red Canids, can we get that same explosiveness that we saw yesterday?
And of course, you can see it on your screens, but we do have an on-stage delay. We'll get into picks and bans as soon as we possibly can. But we got a minute now to kind of talk about where everything is as such. We're obviously on into day 2. We're coming into, you know, game 11 basically of the entire championship. Where do you see the meta kind of settling right now? Because we have had a pretty nice diversity of different champions. We saw Anivia, we had the Poppy Toppy. We got so many different cool things popping
look,
up.
I don't think Anivia is going to become
Let
like
me have
the
my
mid-lane.
moments.
No, the bird is not the word today, all right? But I got to say, I
really
think
hope it
we're
is.
starting to see like these super aggressive AD carries in the bot lane, which I'm personally very excited about, especially when you look at someone like HolyPhoenix in that bottom lane, right? Like the Samiras, the Callistas were banned away from yesterday by RNG. I mean, he even ended up getting the, I think it was the Ezreal as well. Oh, the Ezreal was taken away, but I mean, they basically banned 380 carries from he got stuck on the Jhin. So I'm hoping that we actually kind of open up HolyPhoenix a little bit more here coming into this draft. I mean, Ahri still massively priority in the mid lane. Early game junglers kind of there, but we're definitely starting to see more of the late game scalers come in as well. So it definitely feels more so like the meta is still a little bit in flux, even though I still thought like our mid jungle would be pretty solid with things like the Jarvan, the Ahris, the Volibears, these kind of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love how you brought up kind of like the late game scaling, because something I've noticed is that we're seeing an awful lot more Umbral Glaive, which isn't as seen as a late game scaling item, but just in terms of its cost, its power, and what it gives you in terms of control of the map, it is so incredibly efficient.
And that's why you're seeing so many of these builds even swap over towards lethality. Like the Graves, you're starting to see like the Jins even picking up the Umbral Glaive first. Like it's because that item is just so powerful. You got it so cheap. The fact you get a 35-second counter on like how often you can clear a vision, it becomes really difficult to try and fight against that. And it's why teams have started to prioritize the Graves. It's realistically why he's in the meta, is because of how strong Umbral Glaive is.
Yeah, and we've seen it comboed up with something like the Pike, and you've seen 2 Umbral Glaive champions. Like, how are you supposed to garner control of an area? I am very excited to see what these 2 teams prioritize, what they have the most emphasis on, because at the end of the day, this is going to be a massive matchup for both these teams.
Yeah, I think though when you look towards like how a meta feels, at least in the moment, I feel like it kind of does favor Istanbul Wildcats. HolyPhoenix was already playing these super aggressive bot lanes like the Callistas, the Lucians, these kind of things. Thank you very much for banning them away, Red Canids. So like this was already the style, yeah. But this is very similar to what we actually saw RNG do yesterday, right? Ban 3 aggressive AD carries away from the bottom lane. RNG took the Ezreal, and then they put HolyPhoenix on towards the Jhin. Now, at least it works out a little bit better for Istanbul Wildcats, where they are on blue side, so maybe we get that super high priority on the AD carries, but, I mean, HolyPhoenix is so much of the game plan for Istanbul Wildcats.
And they're already kind of saying to themselves, right, HolyPhoenix, we're going to get 2 things that can destroy you, regardless of what we do to them, the Wukong and the Gwen. So later in the game, you won't have as much threats. There are still definitely options, but again, like you mentioned, Red Canids are just kind of turning around saying, look, HolyPhoenix, you are the catalyst. We need to make sure you're not comfortable.
Yeah, I really want to see an Ahri picked up here though for Serin, because like I love the way Ferret and Serin play together. They're super good at like linking up and then moving that pressure down to the bottom side of the map. It's why you see this like crazy high jungle proximity for Ferret, but it's more so how they control bot side river as a duo and give that relief to HolyPhoenix and set him up to be that big carry.
I see you've done your homework now, Mr. Dagda. You've got yourself set up. You bans, the picks, everything going there. Now we'll see what the Red Canids are going to go for. They're going to opt into the Jhin. Now, the Jhin is very much leaning towards that lethality build we've seen a lot more, and is a bit more of an initiation for the side.
And it's what we saw from the yesterday. Cheaton looked really good on this Jhin, especially when you kind of look at the way they were able to rotate Cheaton into River and then start to get these like long-range deadly flourishes working with the Zoe for Grevthar. It feels like kind of a plan that has already been enacted by Red Canids, but actually going to go for the quick pick of the Galio in that mid lane instead. So going to be looking to be the beefcake to deal with this Ahri.
And the Galio does a lot in terms of what you want to try and get Grevthar onto, kind of roaming around team fights, those big 5v5s we talked about in the late game.
And now I'm curious to see if we're actually going to get Guigo's Camille, because Guigo is renowned for his Camille over in the Brazilian league with CBLOL, and I think it's been such a strong pick for him. And if you've already got the Galio there, the Camille works super well. And I think as well, you've got enough jungle picks left open at the moment that you're not too worried about Aegis not getting something that's important for him.
Absolutely, like, it's just the Wukong right now. It's not really much else you can kind of go for. And the great thing is as well, if you do pick it on 3 now, you've got 2 bans to throw at it to say, look, get rid of the Jax, anything that could maybe throw a spanner into the works of this. And we do know how the Demacia Venn diagram of death works. It is just 2 massive circles being chucked in, exactly as you called it. My sir, you are nearly on 100%. Your mammy's going to be so proud with how well you studied.
I was a little bit excited for this match.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
like, this rivalry is class. But I am glad on the opposite side, right? Because you do get the Viego here, so you get a little bit of that late game scaling, but Ferret does have the opportunity now to link up in mid lane, start to get the ball rolling. And as we said, this duo is so strong in trying to play down towards HolyPhoenix. The problem I'm seeing, though, is no AD carry for HolyPhoenix. Now more bans get leveraged down to that bot side, and you start to go, well, you know, what have you got left in the tank here, lads?
It's going to be 5 bans. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Ezreal maybe brought out here, just to kind of really just completely take everything off the meta. Then you're into the likes of Tristana, maybe
the Zeri is what I'm thinking, yeah.
Ashe? Question mark?
I actually personally think that Ashe is a little bit underrated in the meta. I thought we'd see her a bit more, but if you're going to go with the double utilities, essentially bot lane, it could work out. And even something like a Varus we've seen picked up from here and there throughout the split. But I definitely think, you know, an Ezreal could work out super well here for HolyPhoenix, just with how much engage and how much like dives there is coming through on the Red Canids side. And Ezreal could work out really well.
Well, they decided to go for the Renekton, and they're saying, look, we're not going to let StarScreen get something that can go toe-to-toe in that early game, nothing that can get that priority, so they're happy with pretty much anything else. And kind of a call out for StarScreen saying, look, we don't believe the traditional counters are in your wheelhouse, we're going to get rid of your comfort.
We're seeing the early game just taken off the board as well. So maybe we just get more circles. You go towards the Jarvan if you really want to go for the early stages. But I feel like something like the Lee Sin could actually work out really well here for Aegis. Give the early control. You got good setup in the mid lane with the Galio as well. If you want to try and go for early ganks, like just having that burst damage could work out super well.
Well, they're going to go for the Alistar. So again, more engage, more 5v5. And this is kind of how you talked about in terms of Red Canids. They love to they purposely move their strategies in the CBLOL to then facilitate this style of draft so they can kind of get whatever they want.
Yeah, I mean, look, you've got great engage coming through on Red Canids. The opportunity now for a Jojo to start to roam as well, link up with Grevthar in the mid lane, start to get people ahead. So I'm excited to see what Red Canids to do, but on the opposite side, right, you're now got HolyPhoenix with Tristana, good push in the bot side of the map. You've also got the Ahri Viego, good control. So they're going to be fighting against Istanbul Wildcats.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Mordekaiser now gets that isolated 1v1. You can pick someone and put them in basically the death realm and say, look, you're not getting out of here. This 5v5 then becomes a 4v4, which doesn't have as much threat to it. And honestly, I'm looking at Istanbul Wildcats right now. They are reset city right now. Tristana, Viego, the Ahri, you are getting 1 kill in a fight, you are going to snowball ahead.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely incredible. And one of the good things as well about the Mordekaiser is, you know, being able to take the Camille out of that ultimate, deny the engage tools coming through from Grevthar and Guigo. So just trying to disrupt that 1-2 combo, or well, 1-2-3, I suppose, with the Alistar for Red Canids. So at least you kind of have Istanbul Wildcats responding, and I'm excited to see now because it feels like at least comfort on both sides, and it's just a case of who can really enact their game plan better.
Absolutely, and I think HolyPhoenix has got to be a carry that, regardless of the amount of bans thrown into him, you're still happy with the Tristana into the Jhin. You're able to jump on top of him. He's not really able to plant his feet and get those, long range engages going for him. Hence why we see the Alistar as a bit of a combo back.
Yeah, and I think this is where it's going to get interesting for Aegis, because it's like, oh, okay, well, Tristana and Nautilus will have that early push, levels 1 to 3. You'll expect the same coming through from the Ahri, so you actually could end up with this Viego having at least decent control where he can try and enact some early pressure mid into bot lane as well, like get HolyPhoenix up and running.
The teams are locked. The coaches have shaking hands, or the equivalent of nowadays. And this is, honestly, a lot of your MSIs relying on this. Like, this is going to be your moment for both of these sides. If PSG Talent, and even then, we still have to see if PSG Talent can, like, revive themselves and come back in. But if you can go 2-0 as the Red Canids, that is massive in this group. Because, again, RNG most likely going to be #1, probably going to be going undefeated unless someone else gets very lucky. This could be the definitive matchup that tells whether or not you're going to Rumble or you're going home.
And I mean, look, even just regional pride as well coming into this for TCL. We said already, like, this is a team that definitely wants to push into the upper echelons, move on towards Rumble, but Red Cannon's going to see if they can try and play the upset here. And right now, both teams linking up. I mean, Red Cannon's looking like they're getting prepared for some sort of invade.
Chitan just going to walk forward, finds HolyPhoenix, and like ships in the night, they just tip their hats and off they go again. So both teams setting themselves up. I would say definitely Red a little bit more on the hyper defensive side on that one particular thing. But of course, when you do this kind of coverage, it means you don't have an idea of where the enemy wards are going. You know, you're not going for the full flat out. You're going to have to try and figure out what information the enemy team has.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty all right here. There's no real deep vision coming through from Istanbul Wildcats because they didn't actually spot out where Red were, so they didn't try and go for some sort of play themselves. So both junglers gonna at least be able to hide their starts if they want to. And for Ferret, I think it's going to be pretty nice that you don't have this pressure coming through from Aegis in the early stages. As we said, like, push mid, push bot, that should lend yourself pretty nicely to just being able to farm up and get through the early stages where Aegis isn't in your face trying to bully you out of the jungle.
See now, both junglers starting on the top side of the map, so they will be pathing downwards. And this is something, obviously, we've talked about the history and how this whole thing's been setting up. We never really got to see how this, early game is actually going to shape up, what we're expecting to see for the first few minutes of this game, and who do we think actually has an advantage coming into the 5-10 minutes?
I mean, I give it to Istanbul Wildcats. I think you've got, as we said, like, priority bot mid. You can start to link up with Ferret then, see if you can make a play on towards Grevthar in the mid, and then start to lean that pressure into bot side. And it suddenly becomes really tough for Cheetah and Jojo in this matchup to actually have that control. Even at the moment, right, getting this push onto the bot side, Farfetch and HolyPhoenix won't hit the level 2 first, but they can kind of hold this wave just in front of their tower and set up something for Istanbul Wildcats in these early stages if you want. But I mean, kind of across the board, honestly, Istanbul Wildcats allowing themselves to be pushed in.
I will say for the hour, it is kind of hard for her to deal with the Galio's push initially for the first level or so. You get the Winds of War, and of course that auto attack passive does incredible work to try and just thin out those minions. And I'm curious about this Mordekaiser versus Camille matchup. This is, in my head, very reminiscent to the old school, Darius versus Fiora, where it was kind of like depending a various skill matchup of who hits what and when.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, like, StarScreen honestly should just have a good amount of control after these initial stages where he gets the shield, he isn't mana reliant, so can continuously trade, he's able to heal it back up, and it's why Mordekaiser becomes such a pain to deal with in the lane. Even trying to get ganks off can be tough, but as you can see, I mean, with push being given mid and bot, Aegis just getting in the face of Ferret. Like, this is why I was kind of surprised to see them give so much space.
And we are going to see them pushing back in. This is the push and pull we were talking about, and there's the healing coming out there from StarScreen. So top lane and jungle both being heavily contested right now.
Yeah, but Ferret, as you can see in the jungle, is actually the one that's kind of winning out. He just tries to go for this invade, doesn't really get it off, doesn't steal any of the raptors, and now he's got to retreat back to his own side of the jungle. So giving a little bit of space here for Ferret, where he can actually look for a quick reset, get back on the map faster, and maybe look to make some plays happen.
Oh, we will see StarScreen just sustain himself up, get himself back out onto pushing this lane. TP coming out here for Guigo. It's going to be a call, so they've already kind of accepted, look, this is just how it's going to be. We're going to be able to try and go for big all-ins only when we're level 6, so might as well get some extra early gold while it's happening.
Yeah, but Guigo has been absolutely insane on this Camille, so I'm excited to see what he can do, especially with Grevthar in the back line as well to follow up with them. You end up, Guigo's Camille has been back 63% of the time against Red Canids when they're in the CBLOL, so certainly a pick he's incredibly comfortable on. And when you get to that late game, you've got good push for sides, you've got the opportunity to try and like play some sort of 1-3-1, but what I really like about the way Red play their mid game is like they'll very quickly collapse onto 2 lanes and look for picks, and it feels like with Grevthar on this Galio, well, he can play towards Guigo, he can play towards mid, and they'll like sack a Terra and bot lane for it, but they'll quickly accumulate these gold leads, and then they can just en masse push you out of the way.
Well, don't forget to grab your exclusive Scare Prize Prime Gaming emote so you can strut when you flash in, turn around a fight. I was going to try and interrupt you during that whole thing, but I decided
I'm not gonna lie,
to.
it's not. I don't know if there was a sound. It wasn't very loud in my ears.
I didn't hear anything.
I was like, yeah. So
I didn't hear anything at all. I was kind of hoping there'd be a bit more like
I'm
a
terrified of this tiny banner coming up. I was like, oh my god, green.
This slow rising banner. I was expecting more of like a ba-doom, and then I was like, maybe it's only on broadcast side. Oh well, it didn't work. Trevor, I failed you. But coming back obviously into this and looking at how this is kind of working out, both teams are kind of seeing it. We already see an early rotation coming out here from Jojo. So Red trying to make something work in this top side.
Yeah, I really like this. I mean, just the fact that you're able to, well, actually, G-Town forced the flash on the bot side. I was going to say, you need actually to make sure that you're not getting dove underneath this tower, because, I mean, this is a really strong composition for diving. You're going to trade both sides.
I mean, they're going to put Grevthar up here as well. He's only level 5, but he's got himself the Predator. They're going to try and jump in onto the Mordekaiser before he hits level 6 and knock him down. Jojo tanking up the turret, but he finally gets himself out. Ferret gets exhausted. It's first blood already over to the side of the red Canids, but they will trade it back. That took an awful long time to set up, but it just felt a little bit scrappy.
Well, I mean, you trade 1 for 1 in top, but the real problem is Cheeton's lost so much in the bot lane. His flash was burnt as Farfetch and HolyPhoenix jumped on top of him. Now you're getting this massive wave loss. You're getting turret plates into HolyPhoenix as well. Like, this is what Istanbul Wildcats want, to get HolyPhoenix to a place where he can carry, and right now it's looking pretty damn good.
That was, again, like you said, we talked about this in draft as well, is that yes, Tristana was the last of many lists of champions that were banned away, but you have such great all-in, specifically with the Nautilus as well. You have so many ways of just getting on top of this Jhin. You cannot just rest in your laurels, and already we're seeing, if we look at the replay on the top side, that there's going to be summoners burnt.
Yeah, I mean, you have 4 members here. Doesn't really work out. It was a really good pull coming through from StarScreen on the top side, just to make sure that you can actually like delay this as much as possible. But Serin and Ferret, we're in a really good spot here to actually turn this around. And as you're saying, like, bot lane is the real issue here. This Tristana gets so much alone time with the tower. You can already see the gold has already given that noon quiver across to HolyPhoenix, and late game, like, HolyPhoenix is going to be in such a good spot, and as long as he can kind of stay away from the engages from Guigo, I mean, he can carry this game.
And Guigo is starting to accumulate a pretty sizable lead up on that top side. We can already see it's about a 400 gold lead, so nothing exceptional. It is very much top side focused, but on the other side of that, we are looking at Serin, who's got himself a kill, 20 CS. He's up about 1,000 gold. So it is going to be about where these resources go and when either of these teams utilize them. Because at the end of the day, it's all well and good having a fed Camille, but if they're off on a side lane, you're not really getting the most value out of it.
This does feel like, though, we're kind of going back towards a little bit of a slower pace for both these teams, right? Because Istanbul Wildcats, at least in playoffs, were super active, but during the regular split, we didn't actually see them going for a huge amount of these early plays, instead playing for those mid-game advantages. We saw the same from Red Canids, and yes, we get one play at least from Red Canids, but it hasn't been these like crazy active early games that we started to come to expect, at least from Red yesterday, and also when you look towards Istanbul Wildcats in playoffs.
All right, no dragon been taken yet. Grevthar has just spawned, and both teams starting to hit some big level 6s. Ferret going to start off Shelly right now. They will know what's going on, but don't really have the priority. You can see already Chi-Chan was a little bit late on the rotation, but this could be a full 5v5. Might be a little bit too late. Yeah, Red have already decided, look, we're way too late on this rotation. We're just going to charge in back bot side, at least trade back something.
Yeah, you are getting the reset here from Aegis, so maybe he looks to try and move down into this bottom side, especially if you can get like push with Grevthar in mid. Maybe look for a play with the ultimate from Grevthar to bot, because right now, honestly, the Galio hasn't had a real chance to get much happening. Did roam up towards the top side, but gets caught out with Serin because you're trying to play off of minimal priority in the mid lane. Maybe now if you can get this wave shoved out, you can actually look for a dive onto this bot lane with the mass waves that's coming through.
Serin was low on mana, but is going to be able to pick up that blue buff nice and handy and get that trade-off going for us. And we are going to see the Umbral Glaive coming out here for Aegis. So he's going to be very, very powerful at just controlling areas like we talked about earlier. And just a very cheap item in general for him to be able to pick up.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredibly potent item, but unfortunately for Red, right? Like, you're kind of looking going, okay, well, Grevthar, not really going to be a big carry in the later portion of the game. Cheeton as well, like, Jhin isn't exactly your major carry. You are looking towards Guigo, and right now Guigo does have a good advantage for himself, but when you look at how many threats are on Istanbul Wildcats, you kind of need to get these side lanes rolling. You need to make sure you're getting these towers down to enable Guigo in a side lane. Like, let Grevthar make these plays happen, but with the priority that Istanbul Wildcats have been able to get across these lanes, they just haven't been able to make any of these plays stick.
We go on. Go and wait to see where the big play will come from. We have seen a little bit of movement on bot side, specifically from the side of Istanbul Wildcats. And of course, Red went for that dive in the top, but it is going to be curious to see how everyone kind of pets it up. We can see all the deadly flourishes being cleared out here by Farfetch. He gets himself moved back onto the lane with his AD carry. And this is, again, a very slow start to the game. Only about 250 gold difference. Ferret is sitting on a ward, but he's not aware of it.
Yeah, but I mean, look, this is fine for Ferret, though, because all he wants to do is get this lane pushed in. Make sure you can't have that play that we're talking about where you end up with Aegis down in this bot side, because realistically, Istanbul Wildcats don't feel pressure. I mean, you got a Viego, a Tristana, like, you're totally fine playing for these late game 5v5s, so it's more going to be on Aegis to try and make something happen, or at least get Guigo far enough ahead where he can be a threat in the side lane. But at the moment, like, a 15 CS lead is nice and all, but it's not too big of an issue.
No, the Dragon's going to be going over to the side of Istanbul Wildcats. It's going to be the Rift Herald as well as the Dragon, unless the Red Canids feel like they can contest it. Smite comes in, double knock-up as we get the Smash Pulverize coming in. They're going to try and trade this one back. HolyPhoenix trying to see if he can save his support, but it was all for naught. They don't know exactly where he went because they have no vision, and those shots shall go wide. But they get the Dragon, but they do have to trade it for a kill.
Yeah, one kill going back over in favor of Cheeton is going to be relatively nice. We're going to try and get this push in the bot side, but HolyPhoenix is already moved to mid, so he's covering Serin, who's actually in the bottom side. So all said and done, still kind of even when you look at just the Dragon going over versus just that one kill.
I see straight away a rivalized Crystal Scepter here for Mordekaiser. And again, Mordekaiser is just trying to be a mitigator for that Camille and then isolate a priority target in those team fights. So he's not really going to be building for quote-unquote team fights. He's literally going to be building for, effectively what he does, a 1v1.
Yeah, but also just to slow the engages coming through as well, right? Because if you have a lot of ways of propping the rivalized Crystal Scepter, but we just see here, unfortunately, Grevthar a little bit late on the knock-up, so HolyPhoenix is able to get the rocket jump away, and then they assume HolyPhoenix is starting to walk back into his own jungle, but he's actually just going mid to take the wave. So at least from the get-go, you're pretty all right with the way things are panning out here as Istanbul.
We got double umble coming in here for, sorry, I find the amusement in some of the weirdest things. Just have to find my own.
So this is where we gotta have a conversation. Because are we just going to accept that it's Umbral Graves, or are we going to go Umbral Glaives Graves? Because that becomes really tough.
It is.
Yes.
Well, you did your tongue twisters before we went live.
Yeah, and then I failed miserably trying to say it.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It boded
you
not
need to
so
change
well.
your tongue twisters, as we can see now. A little bit of a twist happening in this fight. We get the Rift Herald hopping down, but it's ways away from the turret. And that's just going to be a failed objective. Ooh. Flash has to come here from Aegis, as he knows if that charm or that hook lands, he is a dead man. We're fighting around the Dragon Pit. There's no Dragon to take.
Yeah, but I mean, you stopped the play in mid, so you're pretty happy here. So able to move back down now towards this bottom side. Ferret just trying to see if you can establish vision so that then HolyPhoenix can start to take these turrets. And I think this is where you'll start to see a little bit more control coming through from Serin, where he's able to work with Ferret and just enable HolyPhoenix to take these bot lane turrets. Because, you know, you can see here zoning red off the bot lane turret, and now HolyPhoenix can decimate this and continue to get more gold in his back pocket. Like, Kraken Slayer, way more expensive than an Umbral Glaive, so HolyPhoenix feeling pretty good about himself right now.
Jojo, he's kind of lost by himself. They'll get the teleport out, and they're just going to walk away. That was so well done. They knew that the teleport was available. They said, look, we're going to bait this out, and immediately back up.
Yeah, and now you just get Serin to push in mid, so kind of playing off the fog of war there. They get the push, and they should be able to get another turret play for themselves. And Istanbul Wildcats, I mean, this is completely different from what we saw against them against RNG yesterday. They look so much more confident and playing this so well.
And controlled as well. They're just making right decisions. They're not being forced. I think that's the big thing to see right now is that, yes, during the RNG game yesterday, it's RNG. They are going to force you into bad situations, into you have to choose one or the other. You don't get to choose both. Whereas in this game, they are definitely having a lot more time to figure out what way they want to approach it.
And if there is a team coming from the TCL to try and put your fade in, like, it feels like this is the team, right? You've got Serin, who has been an incredibly strong mid laner in the TCL. You're looking at HolyPhoenix, was 6 TCL titles. He's got 1 MSI and 1 Worlds appearance as well. You know, as the desk was talking about that 2014, where he had actually kind of came on and exploded onto the world stage with Dark Passage back in the day. And now we've got to see if Istanbul Wildcats can live up to what has been such a good point for them.
Well, we are going to see the Rift Herald being started by Aegis. He's going to try and just get himself over the wall real quick, but a full-on engage going to be coming in. The Galio ult has been committed as well. There's going to be the Mordekaiser isolating out Jojo. Not really the target you want as Serin's off on the backside of this. It's kind of two fights right now. StarScreen picks up his bounty. He gets all those extra nummy stacks, and then they can continue the fight. Istanbul Wildcats, despite them losing their jungler, still come out on top.
And that was such a good play as well. This is actually something that you see a lot over in like North America, right? When Impact was playing this Mordekaiser, he would oftentimes pick out the support because it prevents the follow-up engage, prevents so much more of this damage from coming through in the CC front. And you can see there StarScreen kind of lending himself from that as well. Take the support out of the equation, give that the little bit of back room towards Istanbul Wildcats.
This is the long-range engage. Serin gonna have a flash away and should be able to get out with safety, but good opportunistic moves here from Grevthar and of course Cheetan.
And now HolyPhoenix just being moved around the map to pick up all the lovely gold. And this is where you start to get a little bit nervous as Red Canids, because as you said, we already said, right, like they have the opportunity to try and play through side lanes, but this is a team that is a one shot and done. You dive in onto the back line, Cheetan trying to hit from range, Guigo trying to burst out people with Grevthar, but if you're falling behind, you're not able to do that. Istanbul Wildcats just have so many damage threats, it becomes really tough to carry these fights.
It really, really does, and you can see now the pressure has been put onto them right now. You can see StarScreen moving over. That's a significant chunk of damage going there onto the Mordekaiser, and it is going to be Istanbul Wildcats pushing forward and saying, look, we know we're stronger right now. You can't actually fight us right now. You don't have your big ultimates. You don't have the Hero's Entrance, and you don't have the Hextech Ultimatum.
You don't have the Jhin. Jhin is up on the top side, whereas all members of Istanbul Wildcats were down around this dragon. So already two of these objectives set up, and for Red Canids, it's starting to become a little bit tough. And they haven't had the opportunity to really get control of the game, see if they can make plays with Grevthar, try and work around Viego. So at the moment, it's kind of looking like Istanbul Wildcats setting up well for these big 5v5s, for this powerful mid game, which is what we saw from them in the TCL.
Very, very powerful showing right now. 2,000 gold lead, 2 dragons as well. There is a second Rift Herald available, but they're just funneling gold into HolyPhoenix. Because again, like you said, Tristana is still a hyper carry. Tristana will melt towers the longer this game goes on.
I mean, if you have a crit build that's keeping pace with a lethality build, you're feeling pretty happy it's HolyPhoenix. And especially when you get towards that third item of the Infinity Edge, like HolyPhoenix is going to be huge. And we already kind of talked about the ability to carry on these fights so well with the reset between, you know, the ults coming through from the Ahri, the Viego, and just the jump resets for the Tristana. Like, it feels like you just never escape as Red Canids if you end up in these fights.
And the thing is, yeah, you got the second Rift Herald, but there's no plate, so you need to get a tower out of that in order to equal out any kind of real significant advantage. And now that you've seen the Red Canids go bot lane, you can rotate mid.
But Red Canids are trying to collapse on this. Grevthar is sacking that top wave to see if he can jump onto Istanbul Wildcats.
Here we go. They're going to do just that. There's the Hextech Ultimatum coming in. They're going to have the ultimate as well, and that is HolyPhoenix deleted. Nothing he can do. StarScreen goes into the Death Realm, trying to take down Guigo as he's doing his very, very best. The charm will land there onto the Galio, but he comes back out and immediately gets deleted out of the distance. Out of nowhere, Red just called the play.
And that's exactly what we talked about for Red Canids. They've been so good at just very quickly playing off of 2 lanes, sacking one side of the map to go, right, we're going to jump in, we're going to get these big leads, and we're going to get more after we kill you, and then enter onto the map. And that is so much gold that now has gone over in favor of Red Canids. That gold is now in touching distance, and they don't even lose out on that much top because the wave couldn't be pushed in by the Mordekaiser. You can see it here, right? Grevthar says, screw topside, we're going for the play. HolyPhoenix is deleted. Oh, just gone instantly. And because you don't have that damage, and Red Canids were able to get here first, they can actually pull back, play towards their strengths, and catch out StarScreen as he tries to kill Guigo.
Guigo almost falling down in that Death Realm, but as soon as he doesn't die, the Mordekaiser is in the middle of 5 people. Yeah, honestly, same. It's just kind of a bit of a strange one right there. And it just felt like Istanbul Wildcats were just getting a little too complicit, a little too comfortable with that fight, and they just weren't respecting the big 5v5.
It's just the engage tools that Red Canids have you have to be so careful of, especially if you are HolyPhoenix. Like, I can understand them kind of leaning towards the bottom side of the map because they had a ton of vision. They just didn't expect the how quickly Red Canids can follow up on Guigo. So we'll have to see now if they are going to change their tuning just a little bit with them pushing in mid. Rift Herald is on bot side. You got to have at least another member here for Istanbul Wildcats to try and push against this as 3 members go towards the mid lane.
Yeah, you got Shelly coming down. Very disappointed that she did not get her head bop off, so she's going to go and try again. But this is a bit of a trade on the map right now, and that's going to mean you're going to see a full engage coming out. There's the Hextech ultimatum as Ferret is the target. They will blow him up, and he will be taken out. That's going to be 2 turrets taken. They still have Shelly. They can crack open the base.
And you still haven't got the resets coming through. They're a little bit late, so they are going to be able to crack this open, and it's just cresting the 20-minute mark. So this is bot side inhibitor going down when you have Baron on the cards.
They have Baron on the cards. StarScreen has to go into his ultimate to death realm to try and just keep himself alive, but he's losing this 1v1. And there's a TP coming in as well. Flash from StarScreen, but he's already dead. Now the inhibitor is being focused, and you have 3 versus 5. Red, they take a very early inhibitor. I thought with the TP they might have gotten a little bit more feisty, but they take almost everything they wanted.
Red have been playing this so incredibly well, just realizing, look, we can make these quick collapsing plays on towards the mid. We've got the Herald in the bot side, so we can quickly play the map. It just feels like Istanbul Wildcats have been outpaced here, and Red Canids are just bringing the game back so incredibly well. They now have the 2k gold lead.
This is just an interesting one. You can see as well, like, yes, you have a cleanse and a flash on HolyPhoenix, but if he can't get away from these people, you just have nothing to do. And this is just straight up, they recognize the resets haven't come in.
Yeah, they're still pushing in mid, and you're like, hang on a second, we've got these great engage tools. Guigo goes in with the Hextech ultimatum, takes down 1. StarScreen is forced to ult Guigo as well here. But again, I feel like StarScreen really don't want to be ulting the Camille. The Camille can 1v1 you in these scenarios. You can see here, playing it slow, getting that damage through, and you just can't take out Guigo fast enough before you end up popping out of the death realm.
Our own back to live, we can already see there, Red Canids, they're just feeling a little bit more frisky, feeling a bit better right now, and they're going to be able to start creating opportunities and movements around these dragons and objectives.
And oh, hang on.
Oh, they're going to go in. They're going to see if they can make Grevthar work for this one here. He goes golden after looking a little bit foolish and forcing Jojo to try and maybe help him out. He's now going to try and return the favor, and this is just all a little bit scrappy, a little bit messy, but at the end of it, no one goes down just yet. We are going to have the heal coming out from Chichan as Aegis is just saying, hey guys, I'm taking the dragon, don't worry about it, but now he's a part of this fight. They will turn this one back around, but it's going to be a traded support, and now the fight's getting so all over the place. The shutdown comes down onto the Jhin, but it will be traded back straight away. Guigo on the top side, Grevthar and trying to just coerce everyone here, but a charm lands. This fight is still going, Dagda. There's the Death Realm coming back into this. Aegis has nowhere to go, and finally, it's still Istanbul Wildcats.
It was really messy from Red to start it off, though. Cannons try to jump in. They end up blowing the key ultimates too early, and Istanbul Wildcats correctly recognize that. They play it slow, they keep HolyPhoenix safe, and they're able to carry themselves through, and now it's another dragon for Istanbul Wildcats. And I was about to say, hey Red, you're in a great spot. You get to stack mountain dragons. You end up having this dive comp that's going to be super beefy. That's great, but they throw the entire thing away.
And this is just, again, look at it, weird engage. Grevthar kind of panics, realizes he's caught out. I think he's on this because he thought the charm was going to hit him.
Yeah, and that's why you see the engage from Jojo, right? Jojo's like, all right, I got to go in hard because I have to be the one to tank this up with the ultimate, but now you don't have the Alistar ult, you don't have the Galio ult, and it just means that it's super easy to try and follow up in this. And again, like Jojo taken out of the equation before StarScreen even needs to ult. Cheetan is in the middle of no man's land here and gets caught out as well. It all just feels very scrappy from Red. The panic button's basically been hit right, left, and center as soon as that initial engage went wrong.
And this is the big problem that we're going to have with a lot of these teams, all these, younger and, slightly, lesser known regions, is that you are on the big stage, and these are big moments. You cannot miss, you cannot step forward in that. It just felt like, again, Grevthar just getting a little bit overhypey and then not really knowing how to, cover himself. But we're going to go straight back into the action as he gets the taunt down onto the Nautilus, and he's taken down. That's a good two-man Everfrost to try and get the charm down onto this Galio, who eventually has a Zonya's back up. StarScreen TP's in. Is he going to try and help out his team? It's a 1-for-1. Guigo goes in. HolyPhoenix goes golden as he tries to keep himself alive, but he gets sniped down from the curtain call, and it's all around the place. But at the end of it all, Red Canids still come out on top.
I love these fights. These are so back and forth. There's so many different actions happening all over the place, and you can just about get HolyPhoenix down. Farfetch falls as well in favor of just Grevthar for Red Canids. And thank you for showing us the goal grab, because you can see here, this game will not stop. It's so back and forth.
It will not. And they are going to try and just push in this wave. You can see Serin just has the Orb of Deception, keeps everything nice and healthy. Needs to be careful though, he has no charm, and he recognizes now not really a time for him to go aggressive.
Here's the thing though, right? Because we're starting to get to a stage where, hey look, we're going, hey, Istanbul Wildcats, Wildcats. You're getting a lot of work done. You're getting the key carries fed. Like, when you look at this Tristana, but you are kind of looking at Guigo having those 2 items completed. He's now a threat inside. They have Tempo and Serin.
They go in, but he does not land the hook. The charm does go down. They're going to have a TP coming off the back of this. It's going to be Grevthar around the side to try and maybe make this work with the Predator to wins a war. Didn't actually clip him. It was just Aegis with his red buff able to pick up that kill, and this is so scrappy right now.
But these are great picks from Red Canids, right? You're looking at Baron because you know there's that big wave on bot side that's about to go over in towards the Nexus turrets, and Red have just been doing a phenomenal job of finding these picks, getting the tempo advantage back, and being able to play off multiple lanes and catching Istanbul Wildcats out.
And this is the big thing with the Umbral Glaive. You know you're not on vision. You know that there's no awards around you because you haven't procced it, so they are able to just keep rushing around. They could probably just take this. There's no way you can get in.
And remember what Quickshot said on the desk. Yes, Istanbul Wildcats have shown up so well on the international stage. They have been able to take down CBLOL continuously, but I mean, right now, Red Canids, they're looking pretty good right now.
They are looking solid at the moment. They are down on Dragons, and in a minute and a half, we will have that objective up and available. This is just so close from Guigo. He almost lands the hook shot. You can see how close it gets, and that puts him in a bit of a bad spell.
Yeah, I mean, look, Viego is in a bad spot, but I mean, Aegis we haven't really seen a huge amount from, but he's got damage with this lethality build. Wins a war just helps to finish him off with the red smite as well, and it's all over the place here for Red Canids. They have control of the map. Now they can start to control the wave states and keep sure that they can like kind of collapse and keep playing the style that we've already seen with them playing off of 2 lanes. And I mean, they don't get the Baron, but vision control already in there for Istanbul Wildcats means that it's going to be a little bit more of a time for Red Canids before they can try and threaten that big objective.
Got time, 50 seconds till that dragon spawns. And again, for Istanbul Wildcats, they can choose not to fight. They could just go, look, give up 1. It's not a big deal. Let's try to get maybe a second or, sorry, excuse me, at this point of the game, a 3rd item onto some key carries. Yeah, I've got the Horizon focus now for Serin, so he's a pretty big threat right now. And again, HolyPhoenix, he is just accumulating wealth. If you're not quite sure what Tristana's passive is that with every level she gains more and more range, more and more safety, so you have to be able to try and shut her down as early as possible.
And that's why Red Canids are looking to shut this play down before Tristana can even get there, but not able to get the engage. They will get mid-priority. And look at the vision control that they have on this bot side of the map as well. It is completely dark for Istanbul Wildcats. They can't go and face check this.
No, they're going to have to try, though. You can see even with the invisibility, Jojo gets hooked up as he tries to make an engage. We've got Guigo going on the backside, but it's going to be a gold Farfetch to stop it. There's the death realm there, and you have no longer got a Camille, but you're in a little bit of a trouble here, StarScreen. You're going to come back out into the real world, but just before he does, everyone piles in and he goes golden. It's a double kill for the Viego as they're starting to really ramp up this fight. They're getting the reset and they are slaughtering the Red Canids. It's a full clean ace for the Istanbul Wildcats, and that could just be the game.
It's Reset City and Istanbul Wildcats are standing tall in the fight. 5 members still pushing in this mid lane, and I think you're right, Oisin. Look at the death timers. Istanbul Wildcats have done us.
All it takes is one good fight, and it was absolute perfection. The TCL continue to have a fantastic record in going up against the CBLOL, and they will take down the Nexus and pick up their first win of MSI 2022.
And you can see how well Istanbul Wildcats were able to set themselves up in these fights. StarScreen instantly ulting the Camille, taking away that combo that the entire Red Canids were trying to work around with the Camille and the Galio. You end up picking off Guigo before he can really be a threat in these fights. And from that point forward, HolyPhoenix, he's got free reign. He's able to do whatever he wants in these fights.
You throw everything in the kitchen sink at StarScreen, and you forget he has a Zonius. It just feels so unfortunate, but that's the difference. That's what makes a win and a loss. Those are the small little moments that can decide whether or not you're going to be remembered as a great team or a good team.
Well, for the TCL, this is a great victory for them over the CBLOL. The fact that they've been able to take down Red Canids and kind of come back from that loss against RNG yesterday, it now keeps this group incredibly interesting because that was a close-fought fight. It's just that unfortunately for the CBLOL, they couldn't quite keep up at the end of that.
Absolutely. I think if you're a PSG Talon fan as well, you're getting absolutely fantastic. Yes, you do play against RNG later today, but you are still now just one game away, effectively. You just need to start picking up, you beat Istanbul Wildcats. It's then a rock, paper, scissors, one beats two, beat three.
I mean, look, this is where it all comes down to. This is why these best of ones can mean so much as well. But for Turkey, this is going to be such a good stop-off point. Going, look, RNG, the expected first place. Look, we couldn't pick up the win. That sucks, but kind of the expected result.
Yeah.
Now you're coming in against the teams that you're really having that battle for and being able to take down the CBLOL in this kind of style. After they were so dominant against PSG Talon yesterday, you can see how happy they were coming off it because, look, this means that in theory, I mean, if you're looking at rock, paper, scissors, it feels like they just kind of got a step beyond and got themselves out and kind of looking better than the other two.
Yeah, they're the campfire.
Yeah.
Just burn
Is that what it is? Or
yeah, I don't know,
Lizard
man.
Spock, whatever we're going
Lizard
for.
Spock or something like that. I'm sure there's been a million jokes put onto about it. But yeah, a fantastic win for the Istanbul Wildcats even, when they are on the board as they take down the CBLOL's Red Canids. We'll be back after the break with the final match of the day. Last year's semi-finals rematch between RNG and PSG. Stay tuned.
Behind 14 epic days of epicness. Behind 61 million hours of dropped jaws. Behind every match, every broadcast, every zero-ping moment at League of Legends MSI 2022 is the network capable of making it all happen. The Cisco Network, aka The Realm. Cisco, powering the future of esports.
The world is watching. Get on board. Check the lanes. Pay attention to the best. Join the ranks. Be the challenger. All in for the trophy. This is for all senses. This is for all players. Buckle up. Take notes. MSI 2022. Driven by Mercedes